That's a Visage counter, kind of. The Flak is pretty good at just making sure you can break the cloak and then also just kills the birds. Rocket Barrage, I mean, magic damage in general against Visage is very strong because Visage has, what, 10% magic resistance, unlike almost every other hero in the game, so...
Yeah, I mean, I get it, like, theoretically, like, how the hero is good against Visage, but Gyro just sucks.
Without an IO, yes.
That hero is just bad. I don't know. It's like when we saw Weaver yesterday, and BSJ was like, I don't know, this hero is just kind of not good. That's how I feel about Gyro.
Yeah. Yeah, he's without the IO, without that backup save, it does feel a little odd of a choice. Like I said, it's for that Visage counter. That's got to be like on top of the list of why they picked Gyrocopter here. But
yeah, of course. I mean, it makes sense. Like I said, the skill set that he has is good against Visage, like undoubtedly. I'm wondering if they just want to do like some tri-lane again, but I don't know. Gyro's kind of level dependent, but I could see like the whole Inkswell, Sven, or Gyro in, get a stun, kill the Visage. Like you could definitely crush the Visage in lane. Like with these heroes, you can definitely keep them down that way.
Oh yeah, just being able to like run it and dive Visage is like the one thing this hero hates, and that's what Sven with Warcry gives you. The Gyrocopter gives you as well. That just chase down, and even like something like the Grimstroke Beastmaster aren't bad for just diving with their kind of long range spells.
Yeah, I'm thinking like, what about maybe it would be too magic, but what about like a Puck here, final pick for Pavaga in a matchup there in the mid lane and more of a diving at you?
I don't think it's a great Puck game. Because like you're gonna coil a Tidehunter and a Brew? It's like, ooh, when you play Puck, you want to be able to go in and coil and like get the kill on the hero before the coil breaks. But heroes like Tide and Brew, they don't care. And Visage, because you go in and you throw all your burst damage out right away, like you throw the Orb, the Waning Rift, and everything, you're just basically getting into Gravekeeper's Cloak Charges, and that's it. It's not a super great Puck game, but they're gonna go with the Rubik, so.
The old mid Rubik, unless Grimstroke is a core, which I don't think is really a thing.
No, it's for sure good. But I don't know if it was somebody would mention it, I think it might have been BSJ, but it's like Rubik's one of those, we've heard it, being ran to 7.20 plus as a mid role. We've seen it being ran in that role several times, but really haven't seen it, there's been a couple of examples, sure, but overall it feels like the success rate of it feels a little lacking.
He requires very specific things to win the game. The nice thing about Rubik mid is that obviously with the new passive, you do a lot of damage with Fable. You can negate the enemy mid's damage, and it's really easy to win the lane. Like Rubik is one of those heroes that I often get kind of annoyed playing against because it actually feels so easy to play it and impossible to win the lane against. So like during the mid game, it's really dependent on what kind of supporting cast you have, what kind of spells you can get. And realistically, like how fast you can win the game. You go over 30 minutes on mid Rubik, you're already having a bad time.
Yeah, so I think what's crazy good about Rubik against the Visage is damage reduction against the Familiars. Because Familiars have pretty low base damage, they just attack incredibly fast. And that means if they're hit by Fate Bolt, they're doing 0 damage. You even have that level 15 talent if you want to get the -45 Fate Bolt attack. And that can absolutely destroy the Familiars.
Okay. So another answer to the Visage, who you almost kind of wonder, is it getting to a point where they might just do a support Visage because of that, as Shadow Fiend comes out?
Yeah, so we'll see. They want to get a better mid-match. Daxek is on the Visage, so it'll be like a safe lane farming Visage. Okay.
I think this is a very hard lane for Shadow Fiend, though. Like... You already have no base damage, and Rubik is just going to be Fade Bolting at level 1.
Yeah, we may need, like, even one of the supports may want to go and help out, get those early last hits, just like Jewel Lane mid at the start or something. I could see something like that happening.
Worth pointing out, Beastmaster is J4. That's main support Beastmaster, unless they're swapping up some roles here, but Cheshire Cat, they're offlaner, so it's going to be more that position 3 Sven. Farm priority.
Interesting. What? Oh, I guess they see Sven more as a counter to the Visage this game. If he can get some items, the cleave can be pretty useful, so they don't mind him playing with a bit more farm.
He definitely can eat through Panda Split in the mid game and the late game as well. His damage output is very, very high, especially if he's just allowed to hit stuff. That's the one concern I have, though. Is he really going to be able to just hit heroes this game? Seems kind of hard.
think so. I think as a 3, his job is just to get the Vlads and stuff. Whether it's Beastmaster or Sven, I imagine they're just getting the Aura team items. Maybe Sven goes for like an Ag Scepter in the mid game or something. I don't know. That's an item that could be kind of nice for Gyro, but it seems kind of luxurious and maybe unnecessary.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Beastmaster support, and I'm going, he could probably still get a Vlads because you get boars. It's not too hard to farm. Just depends on, I suppose, how they allocate it.
Odds favoring right now for Gambit, of course, especially after that first game victory. You can head over to es.bet. Place your bets if you like. Onset wager, or onset odds right there. You can also take advantage of the insurance currently taking place here for the WePlay Winter Madness. Again, the next couple of days that this event's lasting for, the $100,000 prize pool on the line. Pretty big matches. And again, es.bet to place those wagers. So going into game number 2, though, it sounds like, again, a little bit of uncertainty on either side to an extent as far as also the roles coming out, but GoDz excited to see the Visage especially. Yeah,
I'm excited. I mean, it's one of those things. I look at that draft, idea good or bad this draft's going to be. I think what I do look at is just how these lanes fare, and a Visage, pretty weak laner, may get pressured. SF, also weak laner, so I think Pavaga could have a good time in the laning stage, but if Gambit can get away with their weak lanes, their kind of 5-man with Visage Tidehunter looks very potent.
All right, into the game we go. See 4-man going up to the top lane for Pavaga. As going to get up there for some bounty rune control. Cheshire Cat, of course, leading the way on that Sven. So Tidehunter is going to be more the off-lane role this time, but again, still expect a similar build on him, just maybe not as rapid, depending on how the lane's set up. But yeah, go back to the Shadow Fiend too, and also how the Shadow Fiend is going to be built, because I feel like there's one of those two ways. Either it's just more damage focused, Yasha, SNY, Manta, whatever, focusing on the right clicks with your talent build, or you can go more the magic focus, the early yields, blink, initiation here. Is there one way or either you're leaning towards Draskell?
I mean, I'm definitely leaning more towards the right click. I'm not a huge fan of the caster SF in this meta, at least. But at the same time, I've been seeing a ton of different builds. Like, I watch a lot of high-level SFs. I've even seen Greaves making a comeback. So at this point, anything goes. It's just whatever the person particularly feels is best for the game. In my opinion, this is probably just going to be like maybe some SNY into BKB, and then just hit buildings, maybe Dragonlance BKB. Because I feel like ultimately they want a 5-man on Gambit. Like, they want to walk around with their Tidehunter again, their Will-O-Wisp. Their strategy seems very reminiscent of what Game 1 was.
It's interesting you bring up the whole Greaves idea, because actually now that I think about it, the last couple of Shadow Fiend games, I've noticed that build too. The whole Guardian Greaves, specifically with the early mech. Now, both of those cases, I believe it was paired with something like a Phantom Assassin safe lane, so the idea that he's kind of that aura as well that he's presenting for the Phantom Assassin, and even still Raccoon can do plenty. But, you have a Visage this time around, but granted, if they're going for that whole group up and push, be together strategy, I suppose that's still something we could still see from the Shadow Fiend.
It's definitely possible, because if the SF gets the Greaves, then it opens up the opportunity for the other heroes, like if the Tide wants to go Vlad into Blink, for example, instead of having to go for the mech himself, then you give yourself another avenue of initiation. Whereas right now, you're not really going to have that, because the Brewmaster's playing support, and he's not going to get any farm. And then you're going to have to rely on someone else to be able to either start the fight, so you're going to have to go like the stand behind your range core hero like we saw in Game 1.
Bottom lane, start things off right here. They're applying plenty of pressure to Cheshire Cat, but he's holding his ground. He's going to throw out the Storm Hammer and immersion to fall back himself. That is a support Brewmaster as well, also worth reiterating. Again, Tidehunter, he's the off-lane core in this case, or at this point he's in the safe lane, of course, but you get the point. Early start for Pikachu. He was up 5-2 against a 2-1, I think it was, Shadow Fiend at that time. Of course, that's naturally understandable, especially with the Shadow Fiend. Early starts could be a little struggle for him, but gets the souls added up and things ideally change. But with the Fade Bolt spam as well, it could continue to be a difficult time, as you're pointing out.
It's a very annoying matchup for the SF, but SF is always one of those heroes where all it takes is like one good creep wave of CSing, and you're fine. Yeah. And that's like the ultimate good feeling as an SF player, is you have like a good first 2 waves. And even now, like 4 and 2 isn't bad at 2 minutes against a Rubik when you're pretty much constantly Fade Bolted. So I don't think he's doing too badly right now.
Yeah, Tide at the top lane. He's 5-1. Compared to Jowercopter, who's 5-4 on the other side. So Tide holding his own up there as well as a quick look at the bottom lane, and you can see the war cry coming into play, but keeping their distance. Doxok seems like I was gonna say he's opened up some free farm, but you know he's only 4-2 actually, or 5-2 now himself. So it's still very early on, not to overlook that, but maybe not getting as many CS as he hoped for. Perhaps too much action happening. It's Cheshire Cat. He's going on a journey. They know he's in here. He wanted his boots, and he gets his boots, but will it come at a cost now is a question. Grave Chill slowing things down. I don't think they're going to be able to run him down to the end, although they get vision. Soul Assumption nuke is not enough. And he will survive. Close call.
It's a good amount of damage. It's been a while since I've actually seen a Visage level Soul Assumption this early, but I guess they are running a tri-lane, so it does make more sense in the situation than most.
Yeah, this Brewmaster support role, it's personally I think it's almost better, you can argue, than the offlane role in some ways, as far as just being able to harass that the enemies in the lane, just being able to run at you with that drunken brawler now, the way it works, and he can still get enough levels ideally to hit level 6, still provide that primal split. That's what he's made for. So I like seeing the support Brewmaster.
Yeah, they just wanted something really beefy to stand in front of the Visage, because they probably had an idea. I think they went Brew and the Visage after. So they knew that they wanted to pick it, and then they said, okay, we need some hero that's going to be able to frontline for us. We want more teamfight utility. FNG really, really seems to like the whole 5-man thing with its drafts in the last 2 games.
Brewmaster finding himself in the mid lane now. Speaking of that, trying to help out this Shadow Fiend, who's now at 12-4 compared to a 14-6 Rubik. So, yeah, really is managing very well, considering. Matchup is looking. First blood potential, FNG. Inkswell hits. The salve keeps him alive initially, but with the war cry, it's going to be too much of a rundown. So FNG falls, and I guess my first question there is, what the hell is he doing over there?
That is a very good question. He was probably looking to mess with like creep pulling or something like that, because there is 1 sentry down, I believe, in the lane, but maybe he was trying to block the small camp or something like that. He ends up just overextending a bit. But the weird part was he actually used his salve. I don't know if he did it to buy time to buy items or like what, but there was pretty much no way he was going to live there.
Well, it's a bit of a miscue, but Cottle makes his way back to the bottom lane. Continues to be that 3 versus 2 down here against the Sven and the Grimstroke. So I think the Radiant's kind of accepted that, though. Obviously, they don't expect to have great farm on Sven the way this game's starting, but 2 versus 3, as long as staying alive and even getting hero kills like that, you're fine. 5-minute bounty rune's coming out, though, and you know, Afterlife at the top lane on Tidehunter's able to pick up that one, and looks like it will be the 2 for 2 split. No kills coming out on either side.
Yeah, I really wouldn't expect to see Gambit at least getting any kills. I think the whole Grimstroke Sven thing is where Pavaga are going to be able to make something happen. But that's obviously until Ultimates come out on the side of Gambit. Then, you know, once Familiars are out, the Ravage, then we can definitely start seeing some action.
Yeah, you see he's level 5 right there on Tidehunter. So a little bit of time before that's going to be taking place, but Rubik free farming that middle lane. We'll see what he decides to build. Things like Aetherland, Yules, etc. Eventual Blink. Sure going to come into play. Cheshire Cat bottom lane is trying to respond on the Visage right there, but again, Brewmaster makes it difficult, almost forces to focus him instead, and you don't really want to. So you could tell Pavaga finding themselves in a rock and a hard place as far as what decision to make to go in there.
Yeah, committing in is difficult because as Sven walks in, he's going to get like Grave Chill. There's also the clap as well from the Panda. So you get double slowed. Even with an Inkswell, it's going to be really hard to get in range unless you're like on the hero and you can Stormbolt before the Inkswell pops.
Well, Doxok pretty far away. 25 and 14 denies. So he has been on point there. As far as taking away from the opponents. Cottle off to the side. Cottle's level 2. Kind of keep an eye on that. Of course, you want to be sure not to get too under level. Cottle, of course, can kind of soak up experience himself, push out lanes, and ideally recover in that. But look to see how that continues to progress. Afterlife top lane, but with Brewmaster running in, they're like, okay, we cannot commit to this. In fact, he has Ravage, doesn't he? So we might see it come into play right here. No, it's not going to be worth it. Maybe on J4, they want that kill, absolutely. He needs to be careful not to die himself, though, on Tidehunter all of a sudden. Those rocket barrages continue to add up. Middle. Alpha, and she's going to be fine, but close call there. He has those raindrops to help out.
Yeah, once Rubik hits 6, this matchup gets really, really scary because you have that passive that increases your spell amp and everything.
Oh, with the raise.
So you steal the raise, and then your raise hits harder than the Shadow Fiend's raise. And plus, the Rubik can like insta the creep waves. You shove it out really fast. You can do things like room control, go for like quick ganks, TPs, whatever you really want.
Middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, you have to be careful with that for sure. And so I suppose you could even combo that with another spell steal lined up. So double raise.
Yeah, it's tricky against Shadow Fiend though, because you have to know which raise it is by the icon, and then you have to like lift Fade Bolt raise, know that he casted another raise, because if you steal the same distance one, it's not going to reset the cooldown.
True.
And then you're stuck on the same raise, and then he might actually triple raise you, and then you die. So it's kind of annoying for the Shadow Fiend, but it's difficult for the Rubik to get 2 different ranged raises at the same time.
Yeah. Welcome to the world of Shadow Fiend. Goes from a little bit of a struggle in the matchup early on to top CS in the game. He is jungling now, but that's just how he works again. Just makes his way over there to recover, so for net worth, it's may not be on top just yet, but point is, yeah, he's looking just fine. Get an eye in terms of what he's going to be building here soon. You also look at Sven. No points in that cleave. It's just going 202 build. And again, play more of the offlaner, so despite being a core, still more of that initiator of sorts. It's understandable.
It's kind of concerning though, right? Because like, even though he's a 3, he's got 25 CS, the Visage has 16 denies, and now he's farming Ancients because he got his Familiars. Like, this is the point in the game where the Visage is going to start to accelerate really, really fast, and this 3-position Sven is supposed to be, you know, buying these aura items like I was just saying during the draft, and if you don't have ways of farming, or you're not like fighting or anything like that, then the 3-position Sven feels kind of like, what's the point of it?
Top tower has fallen.
Yeah, feels very underwhelming. But right now he's doing what he can to try to recover. But
I mean, he's hitting creeps and stuff, and you know, eventually there will come a point where they'll try to go for a fight, and they do have really nice spells to cast, like even just getting the Soulbind into the double stun, for example, things like that, really good. Double Fade Bolt actually hurts a lot, so there are a lot of things they can combo together. But for now, I think that Gambit are actually getting most of the things they want.
Oh yeah, they don't have any kills. This is one of the most passive games we've cast in this event yet. I mean, we have 1 hero kill as we're approaching 10 minutes into this game, which is just absurd. As bottom lane, apparently Sven might, well, he's going to add to that death total of now +1, so we're at 1-1. This Gambit picks up their first one. It looks like he just simply got caught. It goes back to your point. I mean, the struggle life is real for the Sven. His recovery is not going to be there, and don't expect him to have high impact anytime soon. The point. Is Visage working on a Helm of the Dominator, by the way? I believe so. Yeah,
he's got it, I think. Yeah, he just finished it. They're going to be able to take towers really quickly, and to be honest, besides like the Rubik, their wave clear isn't really that good on the side of Pavaga, so could be seeing some more action in the bot lane.
Take a look there. ES.bet, once again, place your bets onset odds. It is favoring Gambit Esports, and obviously would agree with that. So not an overwhelming favor. We see some pretty lopsided ones, but this one a little bit closer. So if you like what you're looking at there with the odds, again, ES.bet. You can also take advantage of the insurance in play for the WePlay Winter Madness Tournament. But yeah, Helm of the Dominator, and I think Hellbear Smash is probably one of the better creeps, that or maybe like an Alpha Wolf to amp your damage.
Anything really is fine, I think, at this stage in the game. The Centaur is good, the Hellbear Smasher is good, the Net Creep is good. Realistically, they all help you farm, and like it's one of the main things I think, and obviously GoDz will be able to fill me in a bit more because I don't really play Visage that much, but normally when I see it, it's like you use it for towers, use it for hitting creeps. And sure, if you get a kill with it or whatever, it's nice, but yeah, most of the time it's just it's an accelerating item that gives you stats and allows you to pretty much just stay out on the map forever.
You see what Shadow Fiend's building there. It is going to be at least the mech. He has the mana boots, so I assume we're going to see the full-on Guardian Greaves coming out from Mr. Shadow Fiend. And again, talk about the idea of what they're hoping to accomplish here. Just group up, death ball push as a team, essentially. Makes sense.
Yeah, I was seeing it a lot in the high MMR games, and it's a hero that already does a lot of damage. So because you already do damage and the towers are innately weaker than they were before, you can just go with your team. Even if you didn't have a lineup like Gambit's, you could still do something similar and just be like, hey, group up, push towers. You know, it's very, very effective because you can high ground a lot earlier than you used to be able to.
Yeah. Continuing that far middle lane as Rubik, although Invis Grimstroke, by the way, they're just going to run in. Soulbind goes up, attaching to one of the familiars, I believe, so not necessarily the hopeful play right there. Ravage is ready. He eventually will use it. They catch Gyrocopter. He came in to save the Tay, only to end his own life. That Requiem set up. You got the team fight looking so pretty there for Gambit. So they lose 2. You just need to run if you're Pavaga. And, well, Cheshire Cat's trying, but Primal Split also activated. And they cut him off. Double kill for Doxock. Are they also going to get Grimstone? They're diving a tier 2 tower when the tier 1's even still up. That's when you know one team is just so confident with what they have going for them. The Rock Throw connects, the raise hits. Yikes. This is going to start running them over from Gambit if they're not careful.
It is just so impossible to fight them when they're together like that. When they have Split, Requiem, the Ravage, they didn't even have their Coddle. Like, there was no Will-O-Wisp or anything. It was basically just 4 heroes. And they just got obliterated. Yeah. There was no counterplay to any of that stuff. Like, the team fight isn't even, it's not even close to the same level as Gambit. So when their buttons are on cooldown, you really got to go for smokes. You got to make something happen on the map.
Gambit just likes these whole, we're just going to run at you. Deal with this strategy, similar to the first game again, of what they were trying to accomplish, and obviously executed in the end when it came down to it. So now, this is the one thing, they are big ultimate reliant somewhat, so of course if you're Pavaga, knowing that those are on cooldown for a little bit, let's try to capitalize, and that's what they're doing here in the middle lane. It's got to think that's what they're going for, but can they even? I mean, even with those cooldowns not up, they still have plenty of fighting power.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's a lot about the wave clear as well. There is going to be a smoke here from Pavaga.
Doxock, he's got a shrine. Not going to use it. He's got a centaur, though. What a double stomp from the centaur. He just keeps running. They pop the shrine anyways. Now J4's overextended on the Beastmaster. So again, is that support again as the link up onto one of the familiars with Shadow Fiend himself. Primal Roar coming out, but and Apodine's getting low, actually. Pops those Greaves or Mech, whatever it is. I think it is the Greaves at this point. He's trying to run, kill off something. The board, the Requiem on top of Cheshire Cat. He's going to stay alive as he gets the kill also on a Beastmaster. And now they're looking at Pikachu after the side by they. I mean, it's Doxock and his army of familiars as well as that Troll Warlord. And Pikachu, he's dead. You just get simply run down by Doxock yet again. That's the strategy of that Gambit. It's just so good at executing here. Maybe Roshan, I mean.
The death by 1,000 cuts right there on Pikachu. I mean, he had the Fable, and GoDz was talking about how good it is against Visage. We saw it showcased right there, how long it actually took him to go down. But, I mean, even without the use of Ravage, the split was on cooldown, obviously. I think FNN ended up committing the Requiem during that fight, but God, it just looks really hard for Pavaga at this point. I just don't know how they're ever supposed to approach a fight. Like, Gambit aren't really splitting up. Their heroes on the side of Pavaga, they don't really split push that well. Yeah. Like, we mentioned lack of wave clear. You have, like, Stroke of Fate and Fable, and that's it. I mean, sure, Flat Cannon's okay, but it's a long CD. Could be seeing another fight here as well.
Ravage is ready. It was only a mech, by the way, on Shadow Fiend. He's almost got the Guardian Greaves finished, but, again, the fact that he didn't even have that in the fight is something else. But, yeah, with Ravage ready, Requiem's going to be coming off cooldown shortly. I'm sure they have the split, so here we go, another... If you're Pavaga here trying to fight and prevent Roshan, you understand what they're thinking, but at the same time, I don't know if I do, because you do not have the team fight to compete right now against them, clearly, and it's almost like you might as well give this up and farm elsewhere, but they're going to try, as Greaves do get delivered, and he just got an Arcane Rune as well on Shadow Fiend. That's not bad. This seems desperate, man.
Here we go.
There's the call down, so a decent start. Primal Split already activated, though, trying to cut them off, and they are just going to kill Roshan, so Aphanine picks up the Aegis, and especially with the Primal Split, that was the cue for Pavaga simply to fall back. At least try to. Grimstroke, he's going to get caught out. Oh, you brought him down a little early there. Will-O-Wisp is activated for this, so they're going to kill him in the end, but he got his double Primal Roar off, but no, never mind. He actually wasn't linked to anything, so finally gets linked. And it wears off anyways to pop the shrine. The execution of this fight is not on point for Pavaga, and that's something you can't have. The Ravage comes out in response to the Flat Cannon auto attack from Palantimos. He's going to end up dying because of it, too. I mean, Pavaga, it's just, yeah, they just seem lost.
That was a rough one, for sure. I mean, it's a situation where they keep walking into these fights, and they're always expecting, okay, this ultimate's down, we'll probably be able to take it because, you know, whatever. But realistically, okay, so Gambit, in my opinion, basically won all 3 lanes. because the Shadow Fiend didn't get held down that much. He ended up pulling ahead. Doxock got 6, started farming. Cheshire Cat had nothing. He was like level 4 when the Visage was 7. And then you have this support Beastmaster who, honestly, I haven't even felt J4 in the game at all. Like, I don't even... You could have told me he never cast a Prime Aurora, and I would have said okay, because that's pretty much how I feel. And it's not to like knock the player or anything. It's just like no one on the side of Pavaga is having any influence in these fights because there's no fighting this death ball. Like, there needs to be something else happening on the map. There needs to be like side lane pushing or like, you know, something that doesn't involve walking into Gambit and trying to defend towers, because that was not working when they were defending in the tier 1s. The issue now is that it's a tier 3.
Yeah.
And this, you know, you have to respond to this one.
Exactly. 18 minutes in, so you can't just give this up, but can you really? You have an Aegis, you have Requiem ready. Obviously, Ravage again still on cooldown for a little bit as his Primal split, but they're going to split push the bottom lane. By the way, it's J4 down there. He's good at that even as a support Beastmaster. But he actually comes back in now, realizing that a fight may be breaking out. There's a Soulbind in the back lines. He's going for the Primal Roar. Alphanine just going to be hit by it. Will-O-Wisp kind of protecting him, though, as Sven is up there. But Alphanine not only survives, but he's ready to turn to Requiem. Nope, he's going to cancel it. Cheshire Cat, he doesn't stand a chance. He's going to eventually fall right here. He's out for 30. Lift up on a Rubik. That's a mid-core Rubik, remember. And Pikachu, he is dead. Buyback on Sven does happen. The TP is going to be canceled, though. And now the Rax is exposed. Damage lacking from Pavaga. They're trying.
I don't know what they're supposed to do about this. I mean, there's tier 2s in the mid and the bot lane, so the game's not going to end right now. But it's still tough.
Look at those odds. That's one of the more one-sided.
Oh, they just... Okay.
Did they just GG? Well, those odds don't really matter. You got stop bet. Well, you could if you want. No, but the game is over as GG is officially called. And Pavaga, it was too much. I mean, looking back at the draft, again, they forced the gyrocopter. You called it, though. This is not a hero without Isle right now that feels any bit that useful. And a mid-Rubik potential. But it seems like to me that they went a little bit all-in on the idea of let's counter this Visage more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think that FNG just had a really good plan. Like, he had a thorough understanding of how to enable his cores in both games. Like, game 1, we saw the Medusa. He had a very specific style. They wanted to play this mass AoE team fight centered around 1 or 2 heroes that are going to be able to like single target focus things down and or take objectives. And I think in that regard, his drafts had they had a lot of I would call it like good flow. Like, they knew what they wanted to do all the time. They did good in their lanes both games for the most part, and they just executed the game plan. This was just, in my opinion, an outclassing.
None of the cores died that game for Gambit. Only 2 kills in total, obviously, for Pavaga. So 19-minute game or so. Yeah, it's just across the board. Pretty easy stuff for Gambit Esports. Outdraft, outplay. And they're moving on here to the top 8. So not only do they guarantee themselves a portion of that $100,000 prize pool that's on the line here for the WePlay Winter Madness, but now they get a matchup against Forward Gaming, which is scheduled to happen later today, in fact. So they'll have a little bit of a break as they got another best-of-3 between that series to take time off for. But coming back after the fact, they will be setting the matchup again against Forward Gaming, one of those 4 invited teams to this event that got to the quarterfinals automatically. So congratulations to Gambit. Still plenty of work to be done, though. We'll see how they match up against them. Pavaga, of course, the road ends here as far as their play goes. Our next series, though, speaking of those quarterfinals, we are going to start getting into it now. And our first matchup will be Ninjas in Pajamas versus Elements Pro Gaming. NIP, again, one of those 4 invited teams. Excited to see them. They're coming off a loss to Alliance yesterday, I believe it was, in the other tournament that's currently taking place for online events as well. So, take that how you will. But I'm excited to see NIP and what they can do against Elements Pro now.
It should be an exciting match, I think.
So we're going to go into that break. Yeah, sorry, that was a bad segue right there. We are going to go into that break, though, so we're going to give it, again, we've been having a rolling schedule, so despite the little bit late of a start today, overall things lining up pretty nicely, so stay tuned, guys. The WePlay Winter Madness coverage will continue. NIP versus Elements Pro Gaming, our next best of 3, our second of 3 in total that we have for you guys today as we now enter the quarterfinals. Again, that $100,000 prize pool on the line. I'm BreakyCPK, joined by Draskell. GoDz joining us as well, and we are going to be joined by BSJ coming up here. I know you guys are excited for that one. Stay tuned. We'll be back.